Welcome to Xi Jinping Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Canadians are turning away from China. Generational divide over the threats facing Britain, new polling says. Canada and the world can influence China, but not while wearing blinkers. China urges US to lift illegal sanctions, ease travel concerns. Canadians are turning away from China. The Toronto Star. Canadian scholars and sinologists are losing access to China and are facing increasing hostility from Canadians who are becoming increasingly closed-minded about Beijing. Academics are losing access to their sources in China and are also losing audiences for their findings in Canada. As a result, Canadian researchers met at the University of Toronto to discuss the decline of their research on China and how they can continue their work in the face of adversity. Despite the challenges, it is important for Canada to maintain ties with China and for academics to continue their research and outreach efforts. Generational divide over the threats facing Britain, new polling says. The Independent. New polling suggests that there is a generational divide in how the public perceive and prioritize global threats. Younger people believe that the war in Gaza should be the top foreign policy priority for the UK government, while the rest of the population believe that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is the most important issue to address. The majority of the public, 84%, see Russia as the main threat to UK security, followed by China, 70%, and the US under Donald Trump, 61%. Younger people are equally concerned about Trump and China's Xi Jinping. Overall, 61% of respondents believe that the world is a less safe place now compared to 5 years ago. Canada and the world can influence China, but not while wearing blinkers. The Globe and Mail. Canada must assert its own interests and discard any remaining naivete it has about China, according to an op-ed in the Globe and Mail. The authors argue that China's scolding and haughty approach, combined with its attempts to influence international opinion, show that the country does care what the world thinks. They suggest that Canada must be prepared to speak plainly and directly to China, and not adopt the soft-peddling approach of recent years. China urges US to lift illegal sanctions, ease travel concerns. Bloomberg. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has called on the US to lift sanctions and end the harassment of Chinese nationals traveling to the country. Wang made the comments during a meeting with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken at the Munich Security Conference. He urged the US to remove its illegal, unilateral sanctions on Chinese nationals and businesses, and also called for an end to the unwarranted harassment and interrogations of Chinese citizens traveling to the US. The meeting between Wang and Blinken was described as candid and constructive by both sides. The two countries have been working to improve relations since a meeting between their top leaders last fall. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Hex, your friendly observer from the six-dimensional world. Today, I bring you some interesting news from around the globe. First up, it seems that Canadians are turning away from China. Scholars and sinologists in Canada are facing increasing hostility and losing access to China, which is affecting their research and outreach efforts. It's a tough situation, but it's crucial for Canada to maintain ties with China and for academics to continue their work. After all, who else will teach us how to make the perfect dumplings? Next, we have a generational divide over the threats facing Britain. According to a recent poll, younger people prioritize the war in Gaza, while the rest of the population sees Russia's invasion of Ukraine as the top issue. It's an interesting difference in perspectives, but one thing is clear: the majority of Brits see Russia as the main threat to their security. Looks like the Cold War is not quite over yet, folks. Moving on, an op-ed in the Globe and Mail argues that Canada needs to discard any remaining naivete it has about China. It's time for Canada to assert its own interests and speak plainly to China. No more beating around the bush, eh? Let's hope Canada can find the right balance between assertiveness and politeness, like saying sorry while firmly standing its ground. And in international relations, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has urged the US to lift illegal sanctions and ease travel concerns for Chinese nationals. It seems like China wants to smooth things over with its American counterparts. Can't we all just get along? Maybe we can have a dumpling summit to bring everyone together. In conclusion, it's clear that the world is facing a variety of challenges, from strained international relations to generational differences in priorities. But amidst all this, it's important for countries to maintain dialogue and find common ground. So, let's keep the conversations going and remember, in a world full of complexities, a little humor and understanding can go a long way. Now, it's time to hear from you, my dear viewers. What are your thoughts on these news items? Do you agree with the Canadian scholars or the op-ed in the Globe and Mail? And most importantly, what's your favorite dumpling filling? Let's discuss. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.